All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think we'll get started. So welcome to this session here on day 2 of MedTech 2023 at Primetals Technologies Green Lounge. So the title of this session is The World's First Carbon Neutral Steel Producer, Acciaieria Arvedi, in beautiful Cremona, Italy. My name is Tom Witter, and we have two guests with us today. One is my colleague, of course. So our guest, Roberto Venturini, Quality Product Manager at Acciaieria Arvedi. Thank you very much for being here. Christoph Fellner, Vice President of Endless Strip Production, Primetals Technologies. And so, of course, the content of this session is the carbon neutrality of this new product that you've launched, ARV0. And ARV0 has certification and is very desirable. There's already a contract in the making, we understand, with German steel users, the automotive industry, who are quite interested in this product. And this is because it's, as I would say, a very hot product. Hot as in very desirable, but also in no cold rolling used in the manufacture of the product. So Roberto, my first question to you is, how are these new carbon neutral products made?
Thank you very much, and thank you very much for Primetals to host us. The road towards carbon neutrality began many years ago. Acciaieria Arvedi is the result of the view of our founder, Mr. Giovanni Arvedi, that set technology as the first value in his company. He always focused on find a new way to produce steel in a more efficient and safe costing and with less space way. In fact, in 1992, there is the first mini mill in Europe, and in 2009, the ever first endless coil in the history of coil. Now, Acciaieria Arvedi is the largest plant that use electrical furnaces with 4 million tons for years. But it still follow the same model like mini mill. So electrical furnaces and thin slab caster based process. Is it clear that because of our choices in the past, the carbon emission for us is a several times lower problem than a conventional route. In fact, in Europe, for a conventional integrated steel plant, an average value or carbon intensity, scope 1 plus scope 2, so direct emission and indirect emission due to the energy, are around 2,100 kilos of CO2 for tons of crude steel. In 2022, RINA, our third-party surveyor company, certified that the carbon intensity of Acciaieria Arvedi, according to greenhouse gas protocol methodology, is only 133 kilograms of CO2 for ton on final steel. So considering not only the hot roll steel, but considering all the production, so galvanized or PPGI, for example. This residual value of 133 kilograms of CO2 for tons is offset by purchasing green certificates based on a forestry project issued by the most important international operator in the sector. In this way, Arvedi can announce that it had reached the carbon neutrality. So this is the story of which we arrive to carbon neutrality well before the target of Green Deal international target that is fixed in 2050. And we arrived in 2022.
First of all, congratulations. Okay.
Thank you very much.
And second of all, if I understand you correctly, you're saying where you are today is a result of strategic decisions that you've been making for a long time, a number of such decisions. And one of them is, of course, electric steel making. You're not using the integrated production route, which would amount to way more carbon emissions. And another one would be ESP.
Yes. With our model, with mini mill model, we use electrical furnaces. I can add that in 2019 started a big project named Azimuth, Arvedi Zero Impact fin gauges, that permit to reach these results. In this project, we have a first step in which we reduce the use of oil-based metallics in the charge by selecting and cleaning the scrap, and also exploiting the performance, the advantage of our process, that without funnel gas heating furnace can permit a certain level of tramp element in the steel. Then we continuous project to reduce the use of energy in all the process, so energy saving, and we redesign the injection of carbon and the substitute of carbon for the forming slag. And then the second step was to purchase 100% of renewable energy, and from the most important Italian energy supplier, Enelix, by providing geo certificates, so certificate of origin for the energy. So this is how we reach the carbon neutrality in 4 years since we start with this project.
Really interesting. Thanks for sharing this with us today. Coming to ESP, which is another important piece of this green puzzle. The products we mentioned earlier, ARF0, were made using ESP.
Yes.
What is ESP?
So ESP is a very compact technology that Arvedi developed since 2009, and in 180 meters and in 5 minutes, the liquid steel is transformed in coiler. The slab, just solidified in continuous casting machine, is directly reduced in 3 high reduction mill stands, exploiting the energy content of the steel and its plasticity at higher temperature, so high temperature. We call this particular thermal condition inverse thermal temperature profile. This bar is completely refined and is geometrically very perfect. So without interruption between the liquid steel in the ladle and the strip coiler, the slab is hot rolled until fin gauges, also 0.8 millimeter.
So Yes, thank you for this. So this, to the audience, this explains my earlier joke about the hot product, okay? No cold rolling. You heard it from Roberto. Sorry for the interruption.
0.8 millimeters.
Yes.
So, in our technology, we don't use, as I told before, a gas heating furnace, but induction technology that works with renewable energy is used. And in this way, you can imagine that the carbon intensity for this plant is very, very low. We are speaking about 2 kilos of CO2 for tons of steel. Compared with a traditional plant, that it means slab casting, reheating, and hot strip mill, quoted at about 300 kilograms of CO2 for tons of steel. So we think that the combination between electric arc furnaces plus ESP, Arvedi technology ESP, could set really a new environmental benchmark for the production of flat products. In fact, after the startup of our master line in 2009, a further 10 new lines licensed by Primetals has been sold worldwide in these 12 years, 30 years.
Great. So maybe I should explain at this point for everyone or anyone not knowing the situation. So basically, Acciaieria Arvedi pioneered ESP, and Primetals Technologies supplies it with help from Acciaieria Arvedi. And that actually brings me to Christoph. Christoph, you're Vice President of ESP at Primetals. And I was wondering, who is this for? Okay, so basically, Acciaieria Arvedi are using ESP. It's implemented in additional plants around the world. In terms of target groups and new customers for Arvedi ESP, is this a technology for the transition to green steel? Is it a long-term investment? Is it just a little bit better than existing technology or widespread technology, or is it a quantum leap?
So, thanks Roberto for the very well introduction. And Tom, basically the ESP is not for the one or the other, but it's for all applications, I would say. We see an extremely huge quantity of inquiries on our table in the moment, and the nature of those inquiries is actually very multiple. So there are obviously companies that are there that want to start the flat steel production, that just gain the benefit of having a green technology, but actually they are aiming for a high quality hot rolled coil. And there are also companies that are aiming for a transition from a conventional hot strip mill route to a more sustainable production of hot rolled coil. And we see especially those companies in Europe, the big ones, the well-established companies that try to actually commit to the regulations that the environments are setting, and that would like to reach all the CO2 limits that are set in our regulations here in Europe. And there is usually one big issue that those well-established conventional hot strip mill producers have. They have also a very well-established contact to their customers. They have a product envelope that their customers are used to. They have a quality of product that their customers are used to. And they are afraid if they change now the technology to be an Arvedi ESP line, that they would have to compromise on the quality to gain the benefit of being green. And Roberto will most probably confirm what I'm saying. It is obviously not the case. It's vice versa. With the Arvedi ESP, there is no compromise to be made on the quality. There are even things that make it not only a little better, like you mentioned, but that making it definitely much better than the conventional hot rolled coil.
I think, Christoph, you were going to the question that we're asked a lot at Primetals: how can I produce the same steel grades as before if I go greener in terms of the production route? But also, you were talking about the products made by producers with ESP technology, and these products are quite desirable, and our customers have customers, and those again have customers. So how is the market reacting to the availability of newer, greener strip coil?
So that there are different reactions actually globally, because there are regions, unfortunately, that don't really care that much about being green, but they care only about quality and actually low production costs. And luckily with the Arvedi ESP we can also serve those regions, due to the fact that the endless hot roll coil provides high quality to the market with the cheapest production costs possible. And on the other hand, they might call it a collateral benefit. I call it actually the major benefit. We do also have a carbon neutral product to be sold, and the market in Europe, for example, reacts extremely well on that. We also see that the customers are willing to pay a premium for a carbon neutral hot rolled coil, and that is exactly the requirement that our world has from my point of view, because we have a lot of issues to solve actually, and Arvedi ESP already produced more than 100 million tons of hot rolled coil since the first startup in Italy, and that is approximately 30 million tons of CO2 saved since 2009. And we are not experimenting on that, but we are actually operating since 2009 on the very well established technology, which is the technology of the future.
I think you were making the business case for ESP there a little bit as well, right? So
one of several, yeah.
Yeah, a couple actually, right? The short ramp-up time, so it doesn't take a long time to implement the lines. The overall cost performance ratio, plus of course the products. So
Correct, yeah.
among a few, okay? So let's go to Roberto again. Roberto, when it comes to the strip made with ESP, you elaborated on some of the properties, the qualities of the strip. Can you say more about how it compares to other strip, what distinguishes Arvedi ESP made strip?
Yes, of course, Arvedi products can cover the traditional market of hot roll coil, but it has some particularities, some features that allow this product to be a real and effective substitution of cold roll material for many applications, for automotive parts, safety system, tubes, scaffolds, plates, and so on. The main advantages of our endless production is the possibility to make really thin and ultra thin gauge material in full width plant capacity. It means that we can produce a minimum thickness, for example 1 millimeter, 0.8 millimeter in Cremona, in 1,500 millimeters width, so full width. Then the tolerances is very, very narrow. We can fulfill the tolerances of cold product. For example, for strips below 2 millimeters, we guarantee tolerance less than plus or minus 0.04. So really competitive with the conventional cold roll material. About the geometry that can this material ideal, for example, for slitting operation, we have a very, very good flatness that fulfill European standards also within skin passing operation. And the crown. The crown is flat, and we have a value of less than 30 micron C25 and 8 micron wedge. And then in endless, you have to think that all the coil is rolled with the same condition. It means that the microstructure is the same for the entire coil, and it results in a very, very homogeneous and constant mechanical properties from the head to the tail. So it's really, really the same. And also, due to the constancy of parameters, also you have really few difference between coil by coil, and also if considering a different rolling campaign. And another aspect is the higher yield, because you don't have the tail and head loss because of straight cut of material. In fact, Acciaieria Arvedi launched some years ago a product, a trademark that is called Arvtech, that identifies a special line of endless hot roll materials in full width and in a very, very wide range of type of steel grades.
That sounds great. So if I were to sum up a lot of what you said about tolerances in one word, would that word be uniformity? Yeah.
Yes.
More
Perfect.
or less. Right?
Tolerance, uniformity,
Yeah.
and a geometry.
You know, because you're such an expert when it comes to these technical things.
Yes.
So to me, that's just uniformity. Okay. I hope you forgive me for that simplistic approach. So I have a question for Christoph. Christoph, earlier you mentioned the hot-rolled coil, but not any hot-rolled coil, the endless hot-rolled coil.
Exactly, Tom.
It seems that this is something quite particular. It's not hot-rolled, it's not cold-rolled, it's the next stage in a way.
From our point of view, and that is actually supported by Arvedi, which established the Arvtech as a trademark, we see a development on the market which shows that there is not only a hot-rolled coil and a cold-rolled coil, but there is a new product family establishing actually on the same level as the hot-rolled coil and cold-rolled coil, which is the endless hot-rolled coil. Arvedi calls it Arvtech. We see the same development with our customers in China, which sell also on a similar basis like Arvtech. And this new product family is the endless hot-rolled coil. And there are a lot of attributes that come with the endless hot-rolled coil. Obviously, it's a zero carbon neutral product, which is a great asset for all of us. It's also that the endless hot-rolled coil has the lowest energy consumption required to produce 1 ton or to convert 1 ton of liquid into endless hot-rolled coil. And in the moment, we are proud to say that for a 2 millimeter strip, we can offer 120 kilowatt hours per ton of product. You wanted to ask something, Tom?
Yeah, and I think customers are starting to ask for this, right? It's a new thing, but the properties of the steel are so unique that it's already semi-established. There was just no name for it, and you've given this a name now.
Yeah. Actually, the name was not given. The name was appearing by nature, from my point of view. Like for a lot of other developments that take place, also the endless hot-rolled coil is a natural development. Since the technology is mature enough now, after almost 15 years of experience on the market. And I also wanted to pick up two things, which is the uniformity, as you summarized, Tom, and the fact that Roberto mentioned being able to produce very thin gauges on actually cold-rolled tolerances with respect to geometry, but also with respect to mechanical properties, because there is a cold-rolled substitute benefits that the endless hot roll coil brings with it as well, which means that ESP can produce coils that you can sell on the cold rolled market without any additional cold rolling or annealing measures to be taken. And that is not only for the low carbon steel, where you just go on thin and ultra thin, but it's also with respect to mechanical properties. So if we talk about deep drawing, high formability grades, for example, a fire extinguisher, the ESP has the chance actually to produce a hot rolled coil which has the right grain structure that is required for deep drawing ability already after hot rolling. And the standard process was that you had to cold roll and then batch anneal the coil again. And if you compare the one or other final product, it means that with the endless hot roll coil you have approximately 60% of savings in the production of that end product or end application. And I don't know, should I continue to list up or?
Actually, that was going to be my next question, so this dovetails perfectly into that. What I always hear when we discuss Arvedi ESP is what products can we make with this technology? What steel grades can we make? And Christoph, you listed some. So I thought we'd brainstorm. I think can you just repeat what you said, and maybe Roberto, if any additional steel grades products come to mind, use cases maybe. You listed a couple of thicknesses. I think it goes way down to very, very low thicknesses. Let's start with thicknesses. What kind of range are we looking at there?
Okay. So we can start to say that, as Christoph said before, now it's to produce in endless and with carbon neutrality is a huge opportunity in this moment, due to the fact that there is an increasing demands of the customer of this type of steel, because the customer are engaged in reducing carbon emission for their products. So we have we are in a good position in this moment. Of course, Acciaieria Arvedi has a good feedback from the market from thin gauges material. So 1.5, 2 millimeter, 2.5 is well known in the market. But we produce in a complete range between 1 and 12 millimeter of thickness. The steel grades starts from low carbon, as Christoph said, but we produce HSLA steel grades up to 700, weathered steel, for example, dual phase steel, ferrite bionitic steel, so a very wide range of steel. And we produce also for not only commodities or commercial grades, but add value grades. One typical example of very demanding application where Acciaieria Arvedi steel has been used for many years is HLSLA steel, for example S500, S550 MC in a thickness between 1.5 and 2.5 millimeter for safety belt or side guides. This is a typical products where before Arvedi are made with cold rolled material. So we are the first to use hot roll material to this application. And so in this case is very important because we have the possibility to cover a different space in the market that in the past was only for cold rolled material.
Maybe taking the thickness question to Christoph, because I think the thicknesses you produce always depend on market conditions and what's needed at the time. So in terms of complete range that ESP can do, what are we looking at there? Because I think it can go from really quite thick to extremely thin.
We have actually we hold the world record with respect to thin gauges. So we already produced 0.6 millimeter strips with one of our reference plants in China, and we are offering strips up to 1 inch, which is 25.4 millimeter strip. And I also like to mention one interesting fact, actually, because ESP sometimes is perceived to be the plant for the thin and ultra thin gauges, and that is because our Chinese customers earn so much money with the thin gauges that they are not focusing all that much on the thicker ones. But if you look at Arvedi, for example, on the development that the plant took from 2009 up to now, we saw that at the beginning there were a lot of thin and ultra thin gauges produced on low commodity or on commodity on low carbon steel grades, and the product mix of Arvedi actually adapted to the market and was shifted more and more into the high added value steel grades, but also more and more to the thick gauges. And Arvedi ESP in Cremona, for example, has a mechanical limit to produce 12.7 millimeter strips as the maximum thickness. And that is also grades or strip thicknesses that are produced in Italy. And the next generations of ESPs are able to produce 25.4 millimeter, being 1 inch, for steel grades such as API X70, for example. And if you allow, Tom, I would also like to add one thing with respect to steel grades as such, because we do have now a point actually in time in the development of the steel industry where a lot of companies fortunately really tried to go from the conventional hot strip mill route into the thin slab casting and rolling, into the ESP direction in order to commit to the green responsibility that we have. And there are products out there that are not yet produced on ESP plants, but we as Primetals are actually in the position as of today to say that developments of the last 15 years have reached a point where we can already offer to produce the feedstock for automotive exposed grades, as well as the feedstock for tin plate production. And I think that is also a portfolio element of products which will get more and more important, also in connection to the green tech that our Arvedi ESP endless hot roll coil has.
If I can add another things, of course our products fulfill European standards, so normal standard, but a lot of them are qualified by many customers, including automotive ones. And just to complete the view, Acciaieria Arvedi doesn't produce only hot roll material, but we produce strips and coils, hot rolled, but also pickled, galvanized, cold roll down to 0.20 millimeters, starting from endless steel production, coil, and the main times without trimming edge, so we use full width to arrive also to 0.2 millimeters in cold rolling operations. And just to close the circle, all are R0 certified. So our R0 certification is not only for hot roll coil, but covers all our entire production. This is very important. So customer, when buy R0 product certified, is safe to have in their hands material with carbon intensity of 0, and can use this value in its final calculation for the environmental issue, and that we know very well are diffused in Europe, for example.
And now I take over your job, and I will ask a question to Roberto, if you may.
Go ahead.
Because I forgot to mention one very important steel group, actually, which is electrical steel. So what is your opinion with respect to ESB? Is it the right process to produce silicon steel grids?
In my opinion, ESP has the potentiality to produce very well silicon steel. In particular, because now the thickness, as you know, go in very, very thin gauges material. So the final application that are automotive developed in this period is 0.2, maybe in the future 0.16, and it's very, very important to start with thin gauges material. And Arvedi technology, I think, is the only one in the market that can produce this type of steel grades in lower thickness, so that you can go down to the final thickness in, I can say, easy, not easy, but more easy way. And so, in my opinion, is one of the possible development of this line.
And also the flatness, I think, that you can put on the product supports the further processing actually of the steel.
The flatness, but in my opinion, more important is the crown, the geometry, because for silicon steel, it's very important that you have not the edge drop, because in the production of a motor, you know, you need a very constant thickness in all the width. And in this way, for these characteristics, for this feature, Arvedi ESP is, I think, unique to guarantee this aspect.
All right, I think this is the moment where I take back my job from Christoph. And I have the feeling, Roberto, that with Acciaieria Arvedi being such a role model for the European steel industry, do you feel quite proud to be part of this initiative, ARV0 and beyond? Is this something that, to you on a personal level, means quite a bit?
Yes, it was a long road. Was started when I was not enjoying Acciaieria Arvedi, but I arrived now, and I can say that for us. This is not the arrival. It's just a starting point, because according to the philosophy, to the view of our founders, this is only a new starting point to increase and to develop a new technology according to our corporate historical values, that are always ethical choice and respect for the environment. So Mr. Arvedi followed these values since he started his history more than 60 years ago.
Feels like yesterday, but it's also such an achievement. So this is the moment when we go to audience questions. And I have the sense that there may be some audience questions. Any audience questions? From the catering staff, maybe? If there's no questions, I have some more. All right? Roberto, ARV0. As far as you know, was there any one breakthrough moment that was crucial in the development of ARV0?
I think that the starting point was the ambitious project that I said before, so F0. So in 2000, Azimuth. In 2019, we started with this big project for the decarbonization. It is a huge project. All the steel shop was involved in this project, and in these 4 years, we make a huge huge investments in our company. For example, we change a melt shop with a bigger 3,000 ton heat and EF stirrer, for example, to increase energy savings, to increase energy efficiency. Also, we studied a lot, Mr. Bianchi studied a lot about primary and secondary metallurgy, and this is something that we are already doing this moment to improve everything is possible in this year. And also we change the continuous casting, because in the last years we use highest slab, so we increase the thickness of the slab. We add segments, we move a reduction mill stand. So innovation is continuing. We don't stop, and we continue to modify and to improve our process to go towards F02. I don't know, maybe in the future.
When is this due? Next year?
Next year.
Next MedTech maybe, huh?
Next MedTech.
All right, I'll take your word for it, Roberto.
Thank you.
I have one question for you, Christoph. Okay, so earlier in this conversation here, we talked about who is Arvedi ESP for. So the production line, 180 meters in length, really revolutionary. Who is it for? And we said it's not just for the transition, it's a long-term bet, a promising bet. In terms of who are the producers interested in this? Is it just mini-mill producers? So in a sense, greenfield projects who want to ensure that they have the best possible setup for decades to come? Is it also integrated mills that already exist, that want to modernize? Who is it for?
So since the session is already rather long, I will answer short.
Oh, no,
So
just elaborate, Christoph.
no, an ESP is for those who would like to beat their competition with cheaper production costs and higher profit margins.
Thank you very much. So that brings us to the end with Christoph's concise statement and your deep expertise. So thank you very much for being our guest today. Thanks to Christoph for answering all the tough questions and actually for doing my job. Okay.
You're welcome.
So
And
next time,
I'm looking for support in the technical sales of ESP, and I think that you would be a very good one.
we'll discuss these internals after the session. Thank you very much for being part of today. And if there's any follow-up questions that you may have to Christoph, to Roberto, please don't be shy and just walk up to us. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Roberto.
Thank you.